here. Are we facing me here? There we are. Beautiful. All right. What's going on? Facebook and to my YouTube family. Just want to say hello to everybody. Great Sunday night for all of you. It's been a long day for me. This is the day that I do everything. My total house cleaning, laundry, shopping, cooking dinner, you name it. I've been doing it all day, so I'm sorry for reaching out to you guys this late, but I've been busy all day, and I did want to weigh in on our week in Washington and in the world. I mean, we had the book come out on the president. The book was Fire and Fury by Michael Wolff. So you had all of these individuals who were, I've heard a lot of crazy things about what was going on in the book as far as the president go. So here is a week for the president to sort of quell some of those things that people were thinking about him. One was that he was the strongest one, that he was mentally unstable. Here's an opportunity for the president to really put that sort of idea about him to bed. Even though some of his past behaviors do make people scratch their heads like, why would he do that? Yet and still, here's a week for the president to sort of turn all that around for himself. Now, he had a good start in the week, meeting with Republicans and Democrats and talking about putting together a comprehensive sort of a bill, including provisions in there for individuals who are under DACA and may be suffering deportation if something is not done. So he said he wanted a bill of love. He looked at pretty decent in that point. Then as the week goes on, the president is sitting in a meeting with a handful of Republicans and Democratic senators, and he is said to have made alleged statements of calling countries like Africa, Haiti, and Venezuela. I believe the statement that they said he used was shithole countries or shithouse countries or something like that he used. Now, the statements, of course, were given to the media, of course, by Senator Durbin. As soon as he got out there, he was absolutely shaken that the president had said this. Lindsey Graham stepped up, Republican senator, said that he made his peace with the president on the type of language that the president used, and then said to a reporter in his home state where he's senator that the president did make these statements. Other Republicans have come forward and said that they were not in the meeting, but from what they're hearing from Republicans that were in the meeting, that the president did make these statements. Now you have Republicans who are in the meeting that are saying they can't recall, which is just kind of crazy. I mean, if you're a Republican and you're a politician and you're sitting in a meeting with the president for about an hour or so, you should be able to recall everything that happened in the meeting. So the fact that you can't recall is almost basically you saying that he did say it, and you just don't know how to tell us that he said it. And for you to now want to come out a couple of days later and say that he didn't say it, it looks like 5-year-old kids lied, basically. And so it just looks ridiculous that you guys are coming out now and saying that he didn't say it. Here's my perspective on it. That the president supposedly made these alleged statements. Now, from what I'm hearing from everybody, senators who are in there in that meeting, that the president did make statements basically saying that he wanted individuals from white nations as opposed from countries like Africa, Venezuela, and Haiti. So even if you take the shithouse or shithole statement out, for the president of the United States to be making a statement of that magnitude does tend to make you look racist as the president of the United States. Why? Because you are president of a huge melting pot of people who have different nationalities, and some of those nationalities can be immediately traced from some of these countries. So for you to even say that as president of the United States. Even if you take the shit house or shithole countries out of it, it is still racist. Now we've got this question that is going around amongst individuals in the country, amongst senators, Democrat and Republican, in our Congress and individuals in the House. Is President Trump a racist? Here is my take on that. Now, I'm not going to get into the thing of saying whether the president is a racist or not. I'm way too smart for that. But what I will say is this, is that I have seen actions in Donald Trump, before he became president, that would convince a person that he had racist issues. I mean, I've seen actions in him, some of the things that he said, you guys know what they are. They've been repeated over and over again. Some of the things that have come out of Donald Trump's mouth, some of the actions that he's taken that were sort of taken from a racial perspective. And since he's been president, he's had the tendency of doing this same thing. So from my perspective, if he's not a racist, what I can definitely say is actual and factual is that the president, if he's not a racist, he is committing actions to the point where he wants me to think that he is a racist. He wants people to think this about him. And he's convinced individuals who are like David Duke, neo-Nazi types, that he is actually racist. So if he has convinced them to perceive him in this fashion, then I'm quite sure that his actions is requesting the same thing of me, that I should look at him and believe that he's a racist. So what I'm going to do is not call the president a straight out racist. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the president up on his proposal based off of his own actions to think or accept him as a man who is a racist. His actions, and until his actions change to where I can look at him and he, based off his actions, could say, I'm not a racist, and it will be far-fetched crazy for you to even assume that I'm a racist. Until I see that out the president, I'm going to take the president up on his proposal of believing that he's a racist, because his actions sure show that he wants people to perceive him this way. Now, how do I look at all this? I look at it as the same way I looked at the book Fire and Fury when it came out, is that the president is one man. Okay, he is one man. Our Senate is 100 men. Some Democrat, some Republican. Our Congress is over 400 American citizens. And so when they don't challenge the president on some of the things that he do, I have to say it makes them look very bad. Our standing in the world right now with world leaders has been challenged in a way to the point where we can clearly say that there's a lot of leaders, allies, who are looking at us from a shaky perspective, like, you know, what the hell are they doing over there in America, electing this guy to represent them? Now, with that being said, since he's made these statements, and you have had Republicans that have come out and defended this man, you've got to understand, too, that these same world leaders are looking at you. They understand that Donald Trump is not a politician. They understand that Donald Trump doesn't really know anything about policy. They understand that Donald Trump is a racist. They also understand that Donald Trump is one man. But they are looking at you guys in there who are Republicans and who are in the House of Representatives as seasoned politicians. And when they look at you defending this man's actions, this man who has drove such a wide wedge between us and our allies nationally, if one of you had the chance to become president, how do they perceive you when they have watched you time and time again clean up this man's mess and not really hold him accountable for the actions that he has committed? So I say still that it hurts the Republicans in the Senate. It hurts the Republicans in the House of Representatives who may one day want to see themselves running for that high office of the presidency. It's not just nationally here, but globally with leaders around the world. It hurts us. It hurts you guys something terribly. And so with that being said, I'm going to move on to, because I don't want to talk too long. I'm going to move on to this perspective about Ophra running for president. I heard Ophra's speech, and it was a magnificent speech. It was magnificent. I mean, it was a speech in which she gave women courage, encouragement, and commended those women as well as men who supported them for bringing a end to this era of where we have sexual discrimination, sexual abuse, sexual misconduct in our workplaces and in our institutions in this country. So it was a great speech, but do I think that speech makes her presidential? I think what they liked about that speech was that statement that she made, that a new day is on the horizon. The way she said it, you don't hear people speak like that no more. That's a way that politicians used to talk in the early 1900s to like around the 1960s. And not just politicians, you had organizational leaders, union leaders. Everybody sort of spoke with this sort of forceful, inspirational way. So the way she spoke, I guess this is where they're getting this idea from about Ophra running for president. And for me, I'm going to get on the Democrats now. I see the Democrats making another huge miscalculation that they made with Hillary Clinton. First, I'm going to start with the Hillary Clinton thing. The Democrats should have known good and well that when they tried to run Hillary, that Hillary was a flawed candidate in the first place. A lot of people didn't trust her. There was a large amount of people that wanted to support Bernie. And then when we got to the before we got to the Democratic nomination, they found out that Hillary cheated. That the Democrats, the DNC, cheated Bernie from getting the Democratic nomination. That should have told you right then and there that you guys were in trouble with this candidate as far as her being able to win a seat in the White House. You should have knew right then and there that Hillary did not have a chance of winning in the way you guys did it. I mean, you cheated Bernie. You gave Hillary this big celebration with balloons and confetti falling from the ceiling like she won fair and square. And then when the Bernie people was there to protest this whole thing, you allowed people to get up and badmouth the Bernie people when Hillary cheated. That was dead. I mean, first of all, who are you to get up and say what you're saying about these people? You don't know how hard they worked for Bernie. Some of them people could have walked around campaigning for Bernie till their feet hurt. They could have walked till their back hurt. They could have talked and spoke for this man until they didn't have a voice. They could have just sat down and were so tired that they fell asleep. That sort of exhaustion. I know what that type of exhaustion is like. So who are you to say that the way that they were acting was wrong? The fact that the DNC did this type of way, not only the DNC, but you had the liberal media like MSNBC, all these CNN, they all had this idea that she was just going to crush Trump. And when she lost, couldn't wrap their mind around why she lost. Why? It's because you miscalculated the fact that you had one of the flawed candidates running for president, and then you cheated. And you got caught cheating to get her in there to run for the White House. So here we are again with MSNBC rolling over and over again. This Ophra speech about Ophra running for president of the United States is being shown on CNN. You got all these political commentators basically saying, yes, Ophra has a chance to win. She could beat everybody out there. She could beat all the Democrats out there. She could even beat the Republicans. Here's the thing. Ophra can win. But the question that you have to ask yourself as the DNC is, do we win as Americans? When you send a person to sit in the Oval Office who you know is not, don't have the proper skills to be president of the United States. You know good and well Ophra is a talk show host, and you're talking about putting her in the Oval Office, one of the most sacred, highest positions in this country. You talking about actually doing that. This is, listen, when they're running it on CNN and they're running it on MSNBC over and over again, that tells me that the DNC is seriously considering running Oprah Winfrey for president of the United States. And let's be for real, Oprah does not have the skills to be president. Now, I love Oprah like the next person. She was a TV juggernaut. She had a successful daytime TV show that appealed to white women in America. And then on the other hand, Oprah was able to produce movies that appealed to serious subjects that took place for black women in America. So Oprah is a juggernaut when it comes to television, but she does not have skills to be president of the United States. Now, was her speech presidential to Uncle Joe Louis? No. I didn't hear her say nothing about how she was going to bring jobs to this country. I didn't see her talk about improving the educational system in our country and making college cheap for our youth and our young Americans so that they could get out here and don't incur all this debt when they go out in the world to try to get employment. I didn't hear her talking about bringing jobs here. I didn't hear her talking about none of these things. How you going to deal with Kim Jong-un? I didn't hear her talk about none of that. I didn't hear her talk about what she's going to do to Vladimir Putin and him meddling in our elections. How you going to deal with China? Iran. I didn't hear anything that would make me say that Oprah's speech was presidential. So my warning to the DNC is y'all bet not do this stupid crap again. You miscalculated with Hillary Clinton. Don't do it again with Oprah Winfrey. She is not qualified to be in the White House, and you've got to be terrifying our allies in other nations right now, because they're already looking at us like we put a reality show TV host in the White House. Can you imagine the Prime Minister of Britain sitting there saying, I'm going to be sitting across the table actually talking diplomatic and geopolitical policy, international policy with Oprah Winfrey? Come on now, stop playing. Oprah Winfrey is not qualified to be president of the United States, so don't make that mistake, okay? There's only two people, in my opinion, that I would vote for right now if they was to run for president. And then the Republican side, that is John Kasich. John Kasich is the only one that has stood his guns with President Trump. He did not go to the inaugural. He has been a good governor in Ohio. He has took on, him and the Republicans and the Democrats have worked together to take on big problems in Ohio. So if John Kasich was to run on the Republican side, and I'm an independent, so I'll vote Republican or Democrat. If I see that you are qualified for the job, John Kasich appears to me to be that man, if he was to run, that I would vote for as a Republican. On the Democratic side, the best bet the Democrats got is Joe Biden. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden may be up there in the years, but Joe Biden is still sharp. Joe Biden is sharp as I don't know what. And when it comes to international policy, there isn't no mental giant out there like Joe Biden. Joe Biden to talk circles around any of the Democrats when it comes to an international policy for this country. So if it comes down to it, these are the two individuals that I would recommend that if you're a Republican, you want to run John Kasich. Everybody in the Senate has been tainted by the Trump Kool-Aid, so I wouldn't run none of them. If you're a Democrat, Joe Biden, run Joe Biden for president of the United States. Either way, I honestly feel these two guys were to go head to head, they would both, it would be a win-win for us. On either side, it would be a win-win. Because they both make, in my opinion, great presidents of the United States. Now, the last thing I want to talk about was this false alarm with this ballistic missile attack yesterday on Hawaii. The whole story just sounds strange to me. You know, how do one of our own soldiers that's in that bunker push that button to cause a viable alert to a ballistic missile attack to happen? That don't even make sense to me. You know what I think? I think they don't know what happened. And I think they're suspecting that it may have been some foreign enemy of ours who may have caused that to happen. And if they did, that is an absolutely scary thing that they have that ability to be able to cause a false missile attack and send a whole population of people, Americans, into a panic like that. So for me, I don't think they know what happened with that missile attack. I really don't think they know. And I think honestly, I feel that it might have been a foreign power that might have tampered with our, may have the technology to tamper with our system to the point where they can cause false alarms to go off like this. And like I said, if that's the case, then that's an extremely scary thing. But that is my quick review of what I have seen for the week. That's my opinion on how I've seen things. I just want to say thank you guys for listening. This is your Uncle Joe Lewis signing off. Remember, become your fellow Americans' keeper and always hold our presidential office to the highest sacredness that it needs to be held, because there is no top, more sacred office in this nation than President of the United States. So when you vote that way. This is Joe Lewis. You guys have a great night. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.